Hi, and welcome to the Boost Your Business podcast series. For this session, we'll be talking about search engine optimization, or more commonly known as SEO. My name's Gory, and I'm the founder of Upskill Digital, a digital skills training agency that helps a lot of small businesses and large businesses make the most of the web and boost their presence across the web. I'm joined by my colleague, Julie. Hi, Julie.
Hi, Gory.
She's also a fellow trainer for Upskill, and we'll be sharing some tips and advice on how best to improve your visibility through search. Great to have you with us, Julie.
It's great to be here, Gory. I always love talking about the power of SEO and what it can do for your business.
Yeah, it really truly can be a strong way to boost your presence online. And actually, I guess for the newbies out there, Julie, can you tell us what SEO actually is?
Sure, Gory. SEO is the process of making your website easy to find via key, relevant words or phrases when they are typed into search engines. This process is focused on helping a website increase its visibility. It sounds easy enough, but actually it does require a bit of work.
Yes, I'm sure it does. And from what I've come across, I think it's more of an art than a science. So it can be a little bit complicated, and there's not a perfect way that fits all. I guess in true upskill fashion, the way we approach it is to ensure that we can give you the initial steps to help you be visible on search engines, and also try to cut out the jargon. We know it gets a bit jargon heavy when we talk about digital marketing and SEO. So we'll try and make it easy to understand. And I guess after you spend all that time and effort building that great website of yours, we want to help you reach those potential customers. So let's start with SEO and understand where a good starting point would be. Julie, where would you recommend?
So a good place to start would be to look at how Google works. And the way that I like to think of it is to imagine that the web is a book with trillions and trillions of pages. Google's job is to read the book, categorize the pages, and then help searchers to find the information on those pages. Easy, right?
Yeah, kind of. I wish it was that easy.
So, to read the pages, Google uses software robots, which are called web crawlers or spiders. And as new pages are found, they're added to Google's index. The information in this index is then stored in facilities called data centers. When people search, the results are then pulled from the information stored in the data centers.
So I guess when you're starting your search as a user, so if I'm typing something into Google, for example, the algorithm starts to look through all of these results in its data centers. And it's looking for lots of different signals that identify which are the most relevant pages that I want to see. So it looks at things like, what is the quality of the content? What type of content is actually on this page? Is it images? Is it videos? Where are the positions of the keywords? And also, what other sites are linking to that? And that really talks about link building, because if your site is linked to lots of other sites, reputable sites, then we can, I guess Google can understand that it is a reputable page, and it really has the right, the right kind of presence that we're looking for to help you be found. It also looks at how quickly the page loads, because essentially when we're trying to search for something, we want an answer quickly. So if it loads really slowly, you're not helping Google help you be found.
That's right. There are a number of different elements that you need to consider when you're trying to improve the search engine optimization on your site. And there is no real shortcut, unfortunately. I'm sure, Gory, you've come across some great success stories from teams and businesses that you've trained over the years.
Yeah, quite a few. Again, we do a lot of training on behalf of Google, so we come across a lot of different approaches to SEO.
Yeah, well, and that's because lots of people are trying to game the system, and the Google algorithm is constantly changing. So you might need to change the way that you're approaching SEO for your business.
Yeah, the algorithm does change. It doesn't make it easy for anybody, but at the same time, those changes are really based on a change in user search behavior. But from what I've seen, I think one of the clearest and probably most simplest places to start is with keyword research. And that's basically where you're discovering the words or phrases that people are actually looking for when they're searching for your products and services. And you want to know things like, what words and phrases they're actually typing in. Because if you understand what they're searching for, then you can create these web pages or create the great content around this. Talking about manipulating the system, you don't want to try and speed up the process by trying sneaky techniques, things like keyword stuffing.
Absolutely. And I've heard a few cases of that happening, and it usually doesn't end well. Google normally recognizes when the content on a site isn't very coherent, or the number of links that are coming through to that page is inconsistent with the other pages on the website. Are there any tools out there that people can use that will help small businesses with their keyword research? And do you know of any companies that have done it well?
Yeah, no, I think we are spoilt with tools out there to help you be found on search. And I've come across a few companies. There was a great plumbing company actually based in Coventry that was, selling typical plumbing services, emergency plumbing services. And I remember the owner really wanted to maximize his reach and make sure that he could be found when people were searching for something last minute or searching for somebody in an emergency. So his process, and he started off by creating a really simple WordPress site, but the process that he took when it came to SEO was by creating a spreadsheet for his keywords. So he'd list in the spreadsheet on different tabs the different products or the different services that he offered, like boiler fits, emergency toilet repair, and for each of those services, he'd actually create a list of keywords that he thought people would be searching for. So things like, local plumber to fix a toilet. And then he would start to use the tools that are available out there. And, one of the first steps I thought was quite interesting was he looked at Google's autocomplete. So if you type into Google, Google will give you recommendations on and help you kind of complete the search query that you're asking. And looking at that, that's all the popular terms that people search for. So using that as a starting point, he started to build up a list of 10 to 15 or so words, and then use some of the other awesome tools out there, like Moz, which has a great SEO tool, AdWords Keyword Planner. So Google AdWords has a keyword planner that helps you understand the trends in keywords and also the popularity of them. And Google Trends, which was actually a really good one to understand when people are searching for these keywords too.
Oh, yeah, and there's another great tool that you might want to check out, which is called Answer the Public. And you can just search on Google for that. And what it does is it actually gives you a list of all those autocomplete searches that people do. So it's a shortcut, so you don't have to actually type in everything yourself.
Yeah, I really like that site. It's got an interesting guy on the front, and it kind of gets you thinking about what people are searching for. It's very philosophical for some reason. So I think he started to build the keyword list, and what was really great is he suddenly found that some keywords were more popular than others, and he looked at that and tried to work out what kind of content he could create off the back of that. And that's the really challenging bit. So understanding what people are searching for is a start, but you've got to create something that is a useful piece of content for them. And I think one of the articles he wrote was what to do when your toilet stops working. Really simple, really easy, but it had the relevant keywords in it that people was using to search. And then he would build the content piece out and then add links in there to get a free quote from him or more information about his services.
And how did that work out for him?
Really well, actually. I think he really enjoyed creating content. So he started writing lots of different articles just when he had some free time, and his rankings did go up. He said he'd received quite a few calls in the first few months.
It's interesting, actually, because I think lots of people don't realize how much they enjoy writing until they give it a go. So how did he know that his rankings were up? Was he just searching for himself on Google?
That is actually what most people do. It's a very easy thing to search for yourself and just see where you rank. But I wouldn't say it's the most accurate way. He actually used another great tool called Google Search Console. And this actually shows how Google views your site and where it believes it ranks your site based on what kind of content you share, how your site's made up, and the structure internally of your site as well.
I love Google Search Console. It's such a great tool. There's so much valuable information in there about your website, keywords that people are using to get there, information on what pages Google has indexed. It's a really fantastic tool. I think another good approach off the back of this is to mention on-page optimization, which simply means making your web pages search-friendly. And this helps search engines to better understand the awesome content that you've created.
Absolutely. It's a really important thing to make them search friendly. I think it's your site's being viewed by an algorithm, not individual people. So you got to make sure that robot can read your search page itself. So what kind of tips would people be looking for when they're looking at optimizing their page for search? Okay,
so the first thing you're going to want to do is optimize load time, especially for people viewing your site on a mobile device. As our attention spans are decreasing, we want to content quickly on mobile, and it's important that you don't lose website visitors from a slow loading page. When you're thinking about using images, first off, make sure that the image size is not huge. So you don't want to have a full, large image on your site. You're also going to want to make sure that you use a relevant alt tag. Now, an alt tag is that little yellow pop-up that you see when you mouse over an image on a website. It also makes your website more usable for visually impaired people, which is always important, and you're going to want to make sure that you use good page titles and descriptions. Last but not least, design your website for all browsers, device types, and sizes, including desktops, tablets, and smartphones. It's always worth testing these out on different computers as well, because how it looks on one browser is not always how it's going to look on another one.
That's a really good shout, actually. I think it's often, we have come across sites that look great on desktop, but when you see it on a mobile, it's a bit of a shame that they haven't invested more in that. It's really all about making your site responsive. So it means it will respond well to the device that page is being shown on. And it reminds me of one of the major algorithm changes that happened a couple of years ago now, but that was based around mobile friendliness.
Yeah, that was focused on making sure that Google can give preference to web pages that are mobile friendly and help Google to provide good content adapted for the users on each type of device.
And mobile is incredibly important nowadays because we're so used to using it. I think a year or so ago, mobile searches actually overtook desktop searches in the UK, which really meant that we need to invest more in having a good mobile experience. And there is a really great tool called Google's Mobile Friendly Tester. It's at g.co/testmysite. And it's really helping you improve your mobile SEO, which really actually rolls the same factors as you would for standard websites on desktop, things like relevant content. But when it comes to mobile, what's crucial is the performance and the usability. And the usability refers to a visitor's experience when using your site. The performance is talks about things like how quickly the site loads, and it can be impacted by many things, like you mentioned before, larger file sizes. If there are any software that doesn't load well on mobile, it's really important to think about, like Flash, for example. Generally speaking, if your site has a good mobile user experience, it's more likely to appear and have more prominence in search results. So I guess we've actually put together quite a few tips for small businesses, and I think it's good for them to think about the future as well. So do you have any top tips to give to them that could help them think about the future and how they help prepare themselves on SEO?
Yeah, well, so there's a new change that Google is just bringing in now, which is about SSL. And SSL stands for Secure Socket Layer. Now, this is the difference between your website starting with HTTP or HTTPS. And Google's decided that it wants to only show pages that are secure, or it wants to give people clues that a website is secure. And it's going to become one of the SEO algorithm points, where it already has started. But actually, going forward from now, particularly on Chrome, Google's going to start warning people that a site isn't secure if you don't have SSL on your site. Now, to deal with this, what you're going to want to do is speak to your hosting provider and or web designer, and they should be able to help you with the transfer of your website from HTTP to HTTPS.
That's a really good shout. I think it's important to be, we want sites to be secure. Right? And that just means that it can encrypt any of the data being transferred between the browser. Personally, I think a really useful tip for a business is to look at Google My Business. Google My Business is a platform, a tool that Google provided a few years back to help a business have more local prominence in search. And essentially, when you search for a local business on Google, Google normally pulls up really simple information such as the phone number, the address, the opening hours, and helps local businesses be found much more easily. And entirely for free, you can set up a Google My Business page, and even this year they've launched a new feature where you can build a one-page landing page on there which has a call to action to be able to call you through. And it's entirely free, and then again it helps Google understand more about your business and more about how you're trying to offer your services locally.
I agree. It's such a great tool and so important if you are running a local business. So, as a recap on what a small business can do to improve its SEO, first, what you want to do is create a list of targeted keywords around the products and services you offer. This will help you build a comprehensive list of search queries related to your products and services. So start thinking about how people search if they knew what type of business they wanted, but didn't know the name of yours. Or how people would search if they had an issue, a need, or a desire, but didn't know what business, product, or service would be able to help.
Secondly, I think you should think about your web pages. Make sure they're search friendly. You mentioned this before. I think it's really important that Google can understand what's on your site. You can actually verify your site for free with Google Search Console. And once you've verified, Google understands that you have the ownership of that site, and Google can give you great information about where you rank, what kind of keywords come up when you're searched for, and how often your pages come up when they're searched for. And if there are any errors in your page as well. And that's really, really important.
And finally, create great content. We can't stress this enough. You want to create content that's valuable, useful, fresh, and unique. Content is king online. So it's important that you create the right kind of content that's going to engage your users and help them make a decision to get your products and services.
Great stuff. Well, hopefully that was useful. And as we mentioned, SEO is more of an art than a science. So be sure to try a combination of the mentioned approaches. And hopefully this will help you improve your visibility on Google and other search engines too. Now, Google have got a really great initiative to help provide free digital skills training across the UK, and it's called the Digital Garage. You can find out where the Digital Garage is popping up across the country at g.co/digital garage, and it's also an online learning platform too. For further support and information on different subjects, to help your business grow, simply search Boost Your Business on the Business Banking website, where you will find information of your local business growth enabler. Thank you very much. Thanks again, Julie.
Thanks, Gory. I've had a blast.
And from Oxco Digital, it's an absolute pleasure, and have a great day.